experience and what Oracle has been going through with the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. So it's something which I always do within the organization, but it is always now good to share my experience with the students who are aspiring to become big, right? So
Yeah, yeah,
being Teachers Day, I just wanted to share a small story so that it gets an inspiration for people. So everybody might be knowing this product called ID Special, right? This is Idli Dosa Special, which is a company which is run by PC Mustafa. Um, so he's actually started as an entrepreneur some years back, and one point in time, around 2010 or 2011, they had a horrible situation, like they were not having money to run the business like that. At that point in time, he was thinking to sell it off. So he was trying to sell it, and he approached the purchasers and all. Finally, he got a one purchaser, and the guy actually has offered him about 22 crores of money to buy his product, which is the ID Special as a brand. So everything was ready. Last moment, he was about to sign the papers. So he thought, okay, let him take one small suggestion from his teacher. So his teacher's name was Seshadri, and he went to him and then asked him, "What shall I do?" So the teacher replied, "Why, man? Why 22 crores? Why not 1,000 crores?" That's the response which came from the teacher. Immediately, his thoughts changed. Yes, why not my company become 20,000 crores rather than 22 crores? Currently, the company's worth is 1,500 crores. So he didn't sell it at that point in time. He continued, persisted his business, and now it's 1,500 crores. So the inspiration is he doesn't. The thing is, the right teacher will always advise at the right time. And if you want to go and have the good guru sishya, that kind of a model, and if you always approach your teacher in the right manner, and they will always give the right advices. So that's the point which I would like to highlight and start this discussion. I hope this is an inspirational message for all our teachers, for our students, from the teachers. Yeah.
yeah, definitely. Yeah,
Okay. So let's get into the topic. It's quite an exhaustive subject, but I would try to cover as much as possible in the short period of time. So it's uh, some of the slides will have a lot of abbreviated terminologies. Please take a note, and you can always Google out after the session is over, and also see what exactly those terminologies are. I will try to take questions at the end of the sessions. Maybe some last 10-15 minutes we'll dedicate for the question and answer. And also we'll see what best we can do within that time frame. Thank you, and we will start the session now. I'll share the screen. Can you see the screen?
yes,
Okay. So this session is all about the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. So how the cloud is actually working for the enterprise companies. So I'm Srikanth Mahalingam. I'm handling the transition practice within Oracle Corporation. I've been with Oracle for last 14 years now. So with overall 22 years of experience. So Oracle is actually a late entrant into the cloud. Maybe about 5 to 6 years back only they ventured into the cloud. However, we are doing well. So that's the journey which I'm going to talk about, and also how we are actually doing it in terms of the competition, etc. So in simple terms, what is cloud computing? So cloud computing is the delivery of computing services, including the servers, storage, databases, networking, software analytics, and intelligence over the internet to offer faster innovation, flexibility, and also it also has the resources, and it has an economies of scale. So what is the difference? So that's the second part. The difference is cloud computing is completely differing from the traditional IT hosting services, in that the consumers actually host their environments at on their premises. But in cloud, they don't really host anything in their premises. So everything is positioned in the cloud. So you can post your infrastructure, you can post your platform, you can post your application, everything on the cloud. So the customer doesn't own any of the infrastructure by themselves. They just pay for what they are going to use. So this is a simple statement about what is the cloud computing is all about. You can keep taking the notes and ask me at the end of the session when we throw the question and answer session. So who are all the cloud providers in the market? I just restricted to have a little bit in the list, but there are many other cloud providers also in the market like Azure, Salesforce, Amazon, VMware, Liquid Web, so Google Cloud, and also Oracle Cloud. So lot many companies are also offering cloud as a service. However, our focus today will be surrounding the Oracle Cloud and how we are positioned in the market as against other cloud providers. So what is the cloud adoption trend at this point in time? It's if you see this screen, the trend is clearly for AWS. AWS is on top, which is the Amazon Web Services, followed by Microsoft, and the remaining companies like ServiceNow, Google, all these Salesforce, all these in coming down, coming in the next list. If you see Oracle, it's a third from the bottom. So what it means is Oracle is catching up. As a company, they started the cloud services only very recently when compared to Amazon or Microsoft. They are all giants in the cloud providing. However, Oracle just started. So what is the significant difference which we are going to offer is going to change the entire trend in the next 5 years. So currently, this is something which we are catching up. So what it means is Oracle is catching up, and there are a lot of advantages why Oracle Cloud is important for the future generations, and how it is going to help the companies to win and succeed in their business. Oracle Cloud Infrastructure has three parts. It actually covers the SaaS cloud, the PaaS cloud, and the IaaS cloud. So what is SaaS is software as a service, PaaS is platform as a service, and IaaS is infrastructure as a service. So what it means is, see on the right side, which is the SaaS cloud, here majority of the activities are actually handled by the service provider, which is basically, in this case, it is Oracle. So we host the application, we host the database, we host the infrastructure. Everything is hosted on a SaaS cloud environment. What consumer will do is connect to this application from the home or an office or from their business area just to use a particular area. For example, a customer has purchased Oracle ERP, Enterprise Resource Planning, and that is hosted on this, and they will just be using one of the particular module in the enterprise resource planning, something like a financials. Someone wants to post a general ledger accounting, or they want to enter account receivables or a payable, something like that. So they can just use that module sitting in their home or office or a business place. So everything is managed by the service providers. In this case, it is Oracle. What is the PaaS? PaaS cloud is the app development focus. For example, many of the features in the SaaS model may not be there, or some of the features may not be there. PaaS cloud, which actually helps to create features to extend the usage of the SaaS in a different model. So it's like a 50-50 model. 50% managed by the service provider and 50% managed by the customer themselves. The third part is IaaS cloud. Here, the major part is actually handled by the consumer only. Very little part is handled by the service provider. We just provide the infrastructure, like for example, the CPUs, the storage, etc. The remaining things like the database, the applications, everything is hosted by the customer and they manage themselves. But the only difference is they don't own any of the hardware, They don't own any of the infrastructure. Everything is handled by the company service provider, but the remaining portion, services, software services, everything is handled by the customer themselves. So that's the significance difference between the IaaS cloud, PaaS cloud, and SaaS cloud. So Oracle, as a cloud infrastructure provider, has all the three areas covered. But there are some companies, they don't provide everything, but Oracle only has these features. I'm straight away jumping into the areas which Oracle used to do and how it is being done now. Oracle, when they started the cloud solutions, they were calling it as first generation cloud. Like, for example, Oracle was not very much familiar or very much experienced on how the cloud will be hit for them, because predominantly many people know Oracle is stronger in the database and they're stronger in the ERP space, but they were not very good in the cloud some years back. So they started as an experiment. In the first generation, they introduced some services, and then they moved into generation 2 cloud, which is called as Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. About 2.5 years back, 3 years back, they introduced Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, which is also called as OCI. So when they introduce OCI, it is one of the best environment which any customer can use, which will have all the features of the first generation as well as the second generation, which is the elastic sources, superior performances, pay as you want to use, superior economics, enterprise class, security system, which is much improved, and open ecosystem to allow any development can happen. So a combination of generation 1 and generation 2 clubbed into a complete package called as Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. It also provides the best performance against other companies, other cloud providers. So they have a faster products than other clouds matches on premises. For example, on premises, we always think that on premises, which is a commodity hardware, like how we use the servers at our premises, uh, and it will give the same kind of speed, or it may be better than the speed which is offered on premises. So if you see in the left side, like the bare metal and virtual machine, GPU, CPUs, please take notes of these terminologies. You may have to go through what exactly it is later on. Oracle also offers the bare metal servers with the real application clusters, which is the rack, and also the Exadata machines, which is an engineered system. And this is a more available network bandwidth between products. So what it means is there will not be any more oversubscription for using these products, and it will not be a noisy environment, and also it offers very low latency. Latency in the sense, what is latency is when you are pinging from the machine to a particular google.com or oracle.com, what is the response it gets back? So that milliseconds, right? So Oracle provides just 1.5 milliseconds latency. That is the speed at which it works when compared to any other company. So every parameter, when you want to check the speed of an application, you have to go through the latency, not the bandwidth. Bandwidth can be less, but latency can be even less than that. For example, if you have a lower bandwidth of 256 kilobytes per second, and if the latency comes back as about 10 milliseconds or 15 milliseconds, that's very good. So that's how the speed and the performance of any application is been identified, and Oracle offers the best one. Since you are all technical people and you are just coming up with the computer related courses and other things, this bandwidth and latency kind of terminologies is not new for you. So I'm just going through that. So as I said, the comparisons are mostly around the existing cloud providers. So currently Oracle offers 33% better performance for the general purpose compute environments, and memory optimized compute is 36%, and block storage, which is the actual storage where you do the IOPS uh, and operations, other things, which is about 7.x better. So this is the basic comparison between AWS and Oracle. So to revisit the earlier slide where I was talking about the trend. So this is something which everyone will start thinking in the next few years. which is not offered by AWS or any other cloud providers. So they will start thinking Oracle is giving, so why not I move to Oracle rather than still waiting with AWS. So again, it's again a performance provided and 2.5x faster workloads than on-premises or AWS. So why I'm always comparing AWS is because they are the market leader, and Oracle is actually competing with Amazon to match everything and probably give the better solutions than them. And to just to give you an overview about what AWS is offering is only the infrastructure. They don't have an application, they don't have database by themselves, they don't have anything to tell they can host by themselves. They just provide a cloud, and any other service providers like Oracle or Microsoft or any other SAP, they can host their environments in AWS. So that is the big difference between any Oracle service provider or AWS. Whereas when it comes to Microsoft it has its own SQL database, and so we can have a good comparison between Microsoft and Oracle. Oracle is the Oracle can be said as a better cloud for most intensive workloads. So what it means is, um, so a lot of things happens when we host an application into the Oracle cloud or any cloud per se. Like for example, you are talking about the database, you are talking about the applications, the middle tier, the functioning of the middle tiers, or the various things which happens during the computing. So it can handle anything in a much better, and big transactions can happen faster. So that this is the significance understanding about how the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure works, and it also offers the virtual machines. It offers the bare metal machines. It offers the combination of block storage and object storage. So it also has the real application clusters, high availability system, maximum availability architecture. So everything is offered by Oracle in a single environment. So if a customer wants to have high performance environment or an application to run, so they can land up with Oracle. Okay, now coming to the superior economies. So what economics, what it means. So we are talking about so many features about Oracle and other things in the cloud infrastructure space. Is it expensive? So no. So what I would say is, when it comes to comparison of economics, Oracle offers a lower pricing model. So again, I'm going to show about some pricing model in the following screens. Um, so they have a good customer has good opportunity to compare other service providers, and also they can check whether they are paying more before they buy any service providers offerings. So they can come to Oracle and see what exactly this offers, and they can buy. So we also have a lot of flexibilities. Like if a customer is hosting an application in their premises, they can actually move to Oracle Cloud, and they can reduce their expenses year on year. See, for example, a customer has purchased the commodity hardware. Every year the storage changes. Every year the hardware changes, and they will ask them to upgrade it to higher memory, higher CPUs, higher network. So many things happens every year. But in this model, that doesn't change in a frequent way. So they can actually move into Oracle Cloud, and they just forget it, because they will also pay in a very limited model, and hourly payment is also, if they don't use it, they don't have to pay. So those kind of options are always available. So the second part is, the second block is talking about lower total cost of ownership, because the solution which Oracle gives as against AWS is very, very, very good, and at the same time pricing is also very less. And over a period of 5 years, they can really take the money back, and also they can add more value to their existing systems. So that's what I was talking about. So from the trend part again, if you see the current trend, that was the trend, but in 5 years things will change, and people will start using Oracle than any other clouds. This is the pricing model, a quick reference about it. So customer can buy a virtual machine, a standard virtual machine. Customer can buy a Denso based virtual machine. Customer can buy bare metal machine, and they can also have Kubernetes cluster, block storage. So all these things, they have options. However, what they will pay if they buy this is this. They will pay very less as against AWS or Azure or a GCP. GCP is Google Computing. So when it comes to three other competitors, Oracle's pricing is always less. So we are in the price market, we are much lesser. And that is the reason I'm telling that the 5-year period, these people will have lesser customers and Oracle will have better customers or more customers than what they have right now. So they are catching up. Again, so consistently, Oracle's pricing is offered the same across all the regions. Whereas when compared to AWS, AWS America charges 7,000 something like this. In Japan, 8,000 something like this. And then in Brazil, they price it differently. So whereas Oracle, across all the regions, whether it is US or Japan or Brazil, they will have single pricing. So again, this is an advantage because if the billing happens to the customer, they don't need to pay more. They just have to pay less. And as against this one. So as I was telling some time back, Oracle offers all the products like right from ERP to the CRMs, JD Edwards, like JD Edwards used for a specific purpose, Siebel CRM, Hyperion is for analytics purpose, PeopleSoft for HRMS, and eBusiness Suite for ERP solutions. So Oracle has all these products as against AWS. So they don't really need to go away. Any customer need not go away and try to bring a product and then they need to host it on Oracle. So they just have to buy all these things and they can host it on Oracle. Whereas in AWS, they don't have products, so customer have to buy the products from other vendors and then they need to host it on AWS. So that is again will change because customer will start thinking why I should go to multiple vendors or multiple cloud providers to host my application. Oracle in this case becomes one shop. Again, pricing models are very flexible to buy Oracle products. It has various methods to purchase, universal credits, pay as you go, annual flex. So I don't want to get into details of this. I just wanted to give a perspective about when a customer buys an Oracle infrastructure, they whatever they are paying at this point in time on their premises, which is in their data center, they will be paying very less, and there are many flexible options for them to pay, which is it will be very less for them. Okay, so cloud built for enterprises. So Oracle's cloud infrastructure is built only for enterprises. Any customer which is becoming big in their business, they can hold all their business transactions and they can have their applications automated, everything on this Oracle cloud. So and what we do is we just host this products like EBS, XSCS, Modern Disk, and Finance. Everything can be loaded in the Oracle's cloud infrastructure. And finally, as I said, we are a single vendor for support across all the cloud infrastructure and SaaS applications. So customer, once they want to buy any product, they don't really need to go anywhere. Okay, this is a different perspective. When it comes to the data centers to be hosted, right? For example, a customer buys the applications, database, and everything to run their ERP applications. They can choose their data center. Particularly in this, I don't know whether some of you knows about this security requirements. India also is actually getting into more security in terms of hosting the applications. So due to that, that is the terminology which is called as GDPR, Global Data Privacy requirements, right? So due to that GDPR requirement, all the data need to be hosted in their own country. For example, particularly the banking transactions or the insurance transactions, or anything which related to custom, the people's data which is hosted and their transactions which is hosted. They do not want to keep these in details outside their country. So every country has started getting into this GDPR. So in that model, Oracle also thought about it long before, and they started bringing data centers to the respective countries. For example, in India, you see these banks like HDFC or ICICI or any other big banks, State Bank of India. So they all can now host their environments in India itself, and some of them have already moved into the cloud. Oracle has also got into the SBI, ICICI, HDFC, and some of their environments have started putting their databases and everything into Oracle's cloud. Microsoft has also become big, and they are also hosting some of the customers' environment in their data centers. So this is a general purview about how Oracle is expanding their data centers. They have about 26 regions right now with live, and 12 plus is planned, so which will make it about 36. And we also going to collaborate with Azure, Microsoft Azure. So that means it's going to be a combination of Oracle and Microsoft working together to make the customers happy. So if you see this on the left side, the red dot and white and all these things are the ways how the data centers have been commissioned. In India, we have two data centers already in commission, Mumbai and Hyderabad. Customers can choose either Mumbai or Hyderabad as their primary region, and they can run their show. And likewise, we have the data centers in San Jose, Chicago, Toronto, etc. And the recently they have also opened a data center in Jeddah, which is Saudi, and they plan to open the second data center. So we have many data centers in Japan also, like Tokyo, Osaka, and Korea, Seoul. And in Australia, we have these two data centers, Sydney and Melbourne. So we also plan to open in Johannesburg, Santiago, and other areas. So this is something which is growing, and once we have this 36 data centers available, then the customers can choose where they want to host their environments, and in their own country, or maybe the nearer country when they have an understanding. So this is something cloud regions reimagined for enterprises. So as I just mentioned the earlier slide, so customers can choose their own data centers and they can host their applications based on the requirements. They don't really need to go out of their region. So Oracle is getting into a venture with Microsoft. So that means 6 cloud regions will have a good understanding with Azure. So where we will have an interconnect, like these are the data centers where there will be a good understanding between Oracle and Microsoft. The US in Ashburn, San Jose, Canada, Amsterdam, Japan, Tokyo. Okay, so what this means, right? The topic is slightly different. Oracle dedicated region, clouded customer. So this is actually a big topic. I will not have much of time to cover this, but I'll just touch base this topic. So clouded customer is something like some data for banks may not be able to move into the Oracle's cloud. So that has been known to many other cloud providers also. But Oracle has brought something as a new concept called cloud at customer. So what is cloud at customer? Because cloud is not really at customer, but here we are talking as cloud at customer. So slightly a difference in terms of the terminology. So what it means is the entire cloud infrastructure, which is managed in a particular data center, Oracle has actually brought that infrastructure at customers on-premise data center. What it means is customer can see the data center, customer can see the hardware, customers can see the environments, everything, but they will not be operating it. The real operations will happen from Oracle's team from the background. They will connect to the customer's environment through a gateway network, and then they will operate it. That means customer will have a co-administration model, and they will see what is happening at the data transactions. It will not go out, but it will be on the premises, but at the same, the transaction is managed by Oracle. So that is the concept which Oracle has built in, which is called as clouded customer. No other service provider is providing at this point in time. So this topic is not for today, but it's something which I just wanted to touch base. So Oracle's cloud infrastructure is an end-to-end cloud infrastructure, which is actually based on service level agreements, which is something others are providing in some areas, like AWS provides availability, Azure also provides, and Google also provides. But when it comes to performance, Oracle's performance is much better than any other service providers, because the kind of architecture, the kind of technology which Oracle uses, no other company uses it, because we are the leader in that particular area. So I come from Oracle, so that's why I'm talking more on Oracle. At the same time, we have done a very good research about comparing with the other products, and that's what this is exhibiting. Manageability is much better in Oracle when compared to any other products. And when it comes to architecture, security particularly plays a very important role. So you might have heard about Zoom being hacked, or any other applications being hacked. I don't see in my 14 years of working with Oracle, we have not got any security breach in any of our environments. But for one or two small incidents, I have not heard any major hacking of Oracle's environments, because Oracle has a very strong security team which manages this entire thing. So previously they were doing it on premises, but now with the cloud, they have to put even more efforts because it is managed by themselves. So any competition issues, they have to handle it, and they are doing it very well. So this is again some sort of an extension of one of the previous slides. So a Gen 2 cloud shared computers was the previous method, and now we are bringing it as Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, which is Gen 2. Gen 1 as against Gen 2. So these are all the features which we have brought in Gen 2, and Gen 1 in terms of comparison, both works together and gives a better performance to the customer. I just keep it for one few seconds just to observe what it is in the screen. Okay, moving on. Okay, so when it comes to compliance, that plays a very important role. So we have to take care of all the compliances for maintaining the applications at all levels. So if the application is very regional, then all these things need to be compliant. For example, the GDPR European Union, Cyber Essentials Plus for UK, all these things need to be handled. Next is the industry. If it is industry specific, then HIPAA certification is very important, and also the PCA compliance and FISE. All these things need to be taken care. Then the government, for example, when it is government where the defense or any military related things need to be hosted, so this entire applications needs to be compliant with these areas, VPAT section, G Cloud 11, etc. So, and then the global compliance, and some of you might be knowing about it, are like the Sarbanes-Oxley, the SOC compliance, the ISO international standards compliance, and CISA compliance, and then comes to privacy shield. So all these things need to be there. So it is a combination. For example, if a customer is hosting an application, they need to be in compliance on any of these things. So it's a combination of compliance. And Oracle offers all these compliance when they host the applications of the customer in their Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. So this is a bit technical again. So Oracle has the technology like operating system, containers, serverless, database, auto processing, data processing, automation. Everything is being handled by Oracle's cloud infrastructure. So they will have the SaaS-based management, PaaS-based management, and also the IaaS-based management. Oracle actually recently had got a tie-up with VMware. VMware is another cloud provider, similar to Google Cloud or AWS or Microsoft Azure. Oracle also got into a tie-up with VMware. VMware is actually a very, very strong company where they provide everything in a virtualized setup. Your database can be virtualized, your operating system can be virtualized, your machine can be virtualized, your network can be virtualized, everything can be virtualized. So they are very strong in their networking and their the way the products has been built. So Oracle thought that let's have a good tie-up with VMware, and we can have a good understanding, knowledge sharing, and build a very strong product in terms of virtualization. So for example, a customer can buy a big machine, but they cannot use it for completely to their application. So that machine can be virtualized into multiple virtual machines inside it, and then each virtualized compartment or the part can host a particular application and customer can use it. So that's how the entire process can happen. So for that purpose, they needed a strong uh, 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 collaboration with VMware, and they have now made a good understanding. And with some for some customers, we are working towards in a collaborative manner. So this is something which I would like to highlight again, like what Oracle can offer for various products. Like for example, Oracle has an e-business suite as a product, Golden Gate as a product, JD Edwards, PeopleSoft, Siebel, and WebLogic. Likewise, every company has their own products also, right? So they will, for example, Microsoft has a Great Plains, and SAP has their own ERP manufacturing solution. So likewise, many companies offers different products, but Oracle has everything in their kitty, and some products will not be available for other companies. So we are making a good collaboration with some of these companies to make the ecosystem to work with. Since you are all students and you wanted to explore what is Oracle Cloud Infrastructure is all about, we have something called as a free trial, and we are also offering free credits for 30 days. You will also learn, explore, and build for free, which is actually a good for all the students. What you can do is you can actually form groups within your team. Um, take one trial per month because it's 30 days. Maybe that group can move to the next trial another 30 days, again one more trial 30 days. So each of you can take one trial, explore it, and then you can start learning it. That's how this option is all about, and it is free. Where you can find this, I will show you this. I will show you this particular link. Please note it down. You can take this and it's completely free. It is self-explanatory, this link. And if you go there, you can actually install it in your laptop or in your desktop at your home and then start exploring what exactly it is. You can share the screens with your friends in the college and then see what it is. Because if you all take separate subscriptions free, then you will exhaust the subscriptions in 30 days. Take it one by one, or maybe two people for one subscription, something like that, and then start exploring it. You all can learn, find a time together, and then start learning it. Okay, so I think we will try to cover these remaining topics in the next 10 minutes. We will not have much time. So what I will try to say is we are working towards improving our services against all the areas. So to offer a complete cloud services, it can be a database, it can be a middleware, it can be applications, it can be an analytical solution, it can be security and collaborating with multi-clouds. So we are working towards everything. So this is the picture which talks about and also the cloud at customer. So and also collaboration with other service providers like Azure or VMware, etc. The only company where we are not having much of collaboration is the AWS, because they are not really having any products. They are just providing the infrastructure. So we cannot compete with them, or we cannot even collaborate with them. So Oracle provides the best product, which actually lower in cost, and also it will provide the powerful foundation for any companies to use the product. So right from the infrastructure to networking to everything, Oracle offers. And finally, I would like to just highlight this point. It provides the 99.995 availability. So any customer can hold their application and database in Oracle with the 99.995% availability, which no other company offers. So this is again a repeat. So there are many products which Oracle can offer, like bare metal, virtual machines, containers, functions. So we can go into each of these topics in detail, but considering the time availability, I'll just move on. I'll just move to a few slides without explaining. Just you can have a quick reference about this. Just quick one about this slide. We have a data transfer service. We can transfer the data from on-premises to the cloud or cloud to cloud using a specific database, specific appliance, which actually is an encrypted model. We can transfer the data, and then the data can be transferred to an object storage and an archive storage, and then it uses the storage gateway to move this particular data, and it can be stored again in file storage. It can be stored in block volumes. We can actually have a bare metal to store all these things. We can also have a denso virtual machine to hosting. So multiple options available for customers. Whichever way they want to host their applications, they can do that. Throughput, which I said sometime back. So Oracle offers 1.5 milliseconds throughput for using the applications. That is one of the fastest. Overall governance and management architected from the group up from the maximum isolation and protection. So Oracle has access control, resource governance, cost management, audit, monitoring, and notifications. Everything is bundled in a single environment. Security, which I talked about, at every level we have a security. And it's all in an isolated environment. Like network isolation also is brought in, database isolation we can bring in, virtual machine isolation we can bring in. So every part can be isolated so that the customer can have a very robust security. There is a small problem there also. If more isolation happens, the performance can degrade. But in Oracle's, the way it has been architected, even if you isolate and bring in more control, the performance does not decrease as against other cloud providers. That's a significant difference between our our infrastructure and other infrastructure. So combined generation 1 and generation 2. This is what I just explained. So we have isolation at all the levels to make it more robust. Most resilient in this market right now, and Oracle database is the #1 in the market. And people are trying to catch up, but it's year on year, they are the #1 at this point in time. So recently, Oracle has brought in something called as Oracle Autonomous Database, which has the data warehousing features, which is called as ADW, Autonomous Data Warehousing, and also Autonomous Transaction Processing. So previously, these two areas were managed manually by other people, by the database administrators, but now it is autonomous. So what it means is that people can actually patch their environments in an automatic manner without actually involving a DBA for everything. That doesn't mean that a DBA is not required. A DBA is still required, but it will be done in an automated manner. Once the DBA schedules it in a proper way. So both the ADW and ATP are brought in for Oracle Autonomous Database. So that is the journey from here to here. So Oracle has become everything in an automated manner. And also it is called as autonomous. Again, highest database performance on virtual machine, bare metal, and Exadata. Exadata is again a big topic. It's a part of engineered systems. I don't have time to cover all those things, but let us just go through all this a quick one as a reference. So it's a quick message for everyone. Simply like cut and paste the whole public cloud into your data center. That's it. It's a simple statement which we can say. Whatever you have in your data center, customer's data center, they can just cut and paste everything into our cloud. So that is the simple statement. They don't really need to find other people, other cloud providers for every product. So they can just have everything in one single data center. That's the message which is talking about this. As I said, Oracle Cloud and VMware has a good understanding, and we are collaborating to make certain things more virtualized. I'll not go through this particular coming slides in details. I'll just go through one or two so that how Oracle is actually used by customers and their customer stories. As I said, moving to Oracle by the customers, we call that as workloads. And not just we, all other cloud providers also use the word called as workloads. Workloads is basically the applications, the database, the various infrastructure related things which they predominantly use. They all call it as workloads. So when it comes to a customer called 711, they have started using e-business suite plus some sort of back office. What they benefited is they got the transaction improved by 30x percentage. So darling ingredients, something like that, they actually started using double the reporting performance. So like that, every company, I don't want to go into details, but here, if you see the streaming, Zoom actually benefited by streaming over 7 petabytes of data every day, because we are majority of the companies nowadays started using Zoom. So how they have benefited, because Oracle is supporting them and they have started using the 7 petabytes of data every day. And Cisco actually using Oracle, their cloud native analytics is a workload, and 60x performance increased. So every customer listed above in this particular slide has some benefits when they started using Oracle. This is all the benefits of moving into Oracle, as against maintaining it in premises, etc. So a lot of performance improvements, and the total cost of ownership reduces. So all these things are the benefits. So we can go deeper, but yeah, so we can check that sometime later. All right, so I'm actually at the end of the presentation. These are all some of the customers where it's a detailed about what Oracle has offered them and how they have benefited by using Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. So for the students who are participating in this particular webinar, my sincere advice is to compare all the cloud providers in the market, like Google, like Oracle, Amazon, and also the Microsoft Azure. Go through these cloud providers and see the benefits which each of them offers, and how you can progress your career. For example, um, my technologies, like for example, even though I have worked on several other products like SAP, or any other product, Microsoft, GPS, but my prime products is Oracle. So I have devised my career to work with Oracle's products right from the beginning. So any product which I have worked or becomes a subsidiary or maybe peripheral products. But my core products I've been working is Oracle. So likewise, if you want to make a career out of a particular product, you have to choose it now and then make a career out of it. You have to start learning from the each of these products, whether you can become a functional person, or whether you want to become a technical person, whether you want to become a networking person. It's all the choices available. So if you choose the right path now before you complete your education, then the next will be advanced courses which is available in the market, and you can start doing it. So my advice is start exploring it. The URL which I shared before is will be talking about how Oracle's cloud works, and you will have a feel about it. You may not have practical knowledge, or you may not have do something immediately, but this is a practical assignment where you can explore it by deploying these things in your own way, and you can learn something about it. So you will have a choice by at the end of your education, by when you are coming out of your college, you will know, okay, I have these things available, and it's my choice where I can go through. So definitely Oracle, from my perspective, provides a lot of things for people to learn, and you can choose Oracle as also one of the options when you come out of the college. That's my advice. And now I will throw open for question and answers.
Is any question? Please go on.
Anything is open. You can ask me, even if it is a trivial question. Yeah.
If there's any question, you may post it in the chat box, or you may unmute yourself and ask the question.
No questions? What are the basic skills required for a cloud engineer? Okay, great. So that's the first question which I received. So what we can say is the basic skills is basically the computer engineering. You should know what is all about in a package. For example, uh, you guys have learned what exactly the integrated circuits and all these things from the hardware perspective. But when it comes to cloud computing, it is more of an application related area. Like you can be a research scholar, you can do research in creating a pure CPUs, hardware CPUs, memories, and all those things that comes at the hardware. But you should understand the overall architecture about how a computer or a cloud computing works. You can start understanding the networking, can start understanding the database, middleware technologies, Kubernetes, and also you can start understanding the coding methodology, the Python coding, that all these codings, and also you can also try to understand about the applications like functionalities. So a SaaS, a cloud engineer comes as a technical person, whereas a person who can be a functional can apply their knowledge in using that application. So these are all the areas which I just told you. You can start thinking about which will be suiting for you. Some people may not like networking, but they'll be very much liking database. Some people may not like, may like functional, but they may not like the hardware related area. So it is, the choice is yours. You can choose accordingly, and then you can become. But specifically to become a cloud engineer, it's technical. So you can choose various technical areas. Next is next question got from Harshit Yaduka. The first one was from Kushal Sole. The second was Harshit. Sir, how has the downtime of the servers been in Oracle? Okay, so downtime is predominantly depending upon the high availability requirements. For example, a customer is a banking customer, right? Uh, or an insurance customer, they will have a service level agreement, and when they come into contracting with Oracle, they will say, I don't want any and I don't want any downtime. At the most, I can offer maybe few minutes to go here and there. So for those type of customers, what we will offer is something called as real application clusters or a clustered setup. So that is called as high availability, to so that the database, if one of the nodes fails for any reason, anything happens, the second node automatically picks up and starts running it. So that is something called as clustered setup. So you will have very less downtime for those kind of environment. There's another kind of setup is called as maximum availability architecture, which is extending from high availability to maximum availability. High availability is only restricted to the same data center, whereas maximum availability can be extended to your second data center also as a disaster recovery. For example, the primary data center completely go down and it is not recoverable. The second data center, which is the disaster recovery data center, can be used to run that applications. When both these data centers are in sync, the second one automatically picks up. So downtime is actually a relative terminology, and it is very subjective. We can actually work it out, and based on the customer's requirement, it can be made to work. Any other questions? Okay, the third question which has come is, it was a good session. You had mentioned Oracle Cloud is cheap compared to other services. Does Oracle have to compromise some technology to make it possible? No. So Oracle actually does not compromise on any of the technologies. The way it operates is because we are pioneer in the way in the database and the applications, and we have been doing certain things in the way we wanted to do for the customers. We don't compromise on any of the technologies. In fact, we are giving better technologies when compared to others in a slightly lesser price as compared to others. So that's the difference which we have. No compromise. Okay, next question has come again from Kushal Sule. Can you suggest some skills to learn for being a cloud security service, as I am in the final year? Excellent. Okay, so Oracle actually offers several security services, something called as the database audit vault, database vault, and transparent data encryptions, IDM solutions, identity management solutions. So these are all some of the security areas which someone can really get into. This is of the application and the database level. There are other security services at the network layer as well as the infrastructure layers also. So for example, we have someone called as auditors, like security auditors, and they can actually do some course called as CISA, Certified Information Security Auditor. So actually, when you do a Certified Information Security Auditor course and get it certified, and again in a clubbed manner of Oracle database and these security services like Audit Vault, DB Vault, there is a big scope for them to work independently, not even as an employee. You can become an independent consultant, security consultant, offering your services to many other companies. So when you become a CISA, and with a combined technology with other areas like the Oracle's technology, which I told, if you also learn Azure or other products, you can become a certified auditor also, and you can work with many companies as an independent auditor. Okay, the next question is from Harshit again. Azure and AWS has certification which they offer all over the world. Does Oracle have such certificates? Okay, great. So yes, Oracle do offer certifications. We call all this certification as cloud infrastructure certification. We have certification called OCI Foundation. We have certification called Oracle Autonomous Database certification. We have cloud Cloud Architect Associate, Cloud Architect Professional. We have functional certifications. So if you go to oracle.com and give the certifications link as a URL, you will get all kinds of certifications available. So in fact, yes. So to answer your question in simple terms, we have certifications as well.
Yeah, I think we are good. Thank you so much. Thank you, brother, for the wonderful session. Prapanch,
Okay.
we can take over.
Yeah, it was really an informative session. We have posted our YouTube channel link in the chat box. So we'll be uploading the session in our YouTube channel. So for any further reference, you may visit our YouTube channel. And yeah, it was really a fantastic session. Thank you, Mr. Srikanth Mahalingam, sir, for delivering such a wonderful session. Now, I would like to thank GCW Alumni Association Bangalore chapter uh, to uh, to give us the opportunity to host the event, especially Mr. Arjun Sundareshan and Shabir sir. Last but not least, I would like to thank all the participants for actively participating in the session. Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone. See you next week with a different topic. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you all. Hope you are all benefiting out of this session. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, brother. Thank you so much.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.